Well, for many years, the Old Market was the home to a very special live theater venue. It was called the Firehouse Dinner Theater. And so many times when I was in high school and college, I would go and see some shows there. It was a professional theater and respected throughout the country. And if you're wondering where in the Old Market it was, it's now the Upstream Brewing Company. And we have with us the proprietor and founder of the Firehouse Dinner Theater and also a recent author. His name is Dick Mueller. Dick, welcome to Grow Omaha.
Well, thanks for the invite.
It's good to have you here. And first of all, this book you have came out about a year ago. It's called The Firehouse Memoir. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, over the years, I would bore people with my anecdotes about what happened, stories from the firehouse. And nice people, they would humor me, suggesting I should write a book. I could never figure out how to attack it. I hate books, I hate books that are like, we did this, and then we did this, and then we did this. That bores me. But I finally came up with just writing stories about little things that happen. And I was also fascinated by the how one thing leads to another. One, you meet somebody today, and who knows what 20 years down the road, what it becomes.
When did it open?
It opened on May 12th, I believe, 1972.
So 1972. It was right before that. It was the fire. It was actually a firehouse.
Well, it had been
before?
decommissioned. I don't know what year the city decommissioned it. Originally, it was Omaha's Firehouse #1. It was a beautiful building. Unfortunately, they had a fire back in the days, and they took the roof off of it.
Took too long to put it out.
Story was, when I was building the firehouse, old firemen, retired firemen, would stop in every day when we were doing whatever we were doing, and they would tell me stories. And supposedly these firemen one day they were sitting out there on the side, and there are firemen's chairs, enjoying the sunshine, and a little kid walks up and says, "Hey, your place is on fire." Of course, they thought he was joking, and the truth was the hayloft, which was the third floor, because they had horses back then, was burning. And it was a big fire. And
A little embarrassing, but yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the basement, I was told by another fireman that was a place where the zoo at the time kept their alligators during the winter in the in the basement of that building. A lot of stories like that.
Well, and another twist of irony, I mean, it was an old fire station that caught on fire while the firemen were there. You named it the Firehouse Dinner Theater, and then sadly, after you had turned it into the firehouse, you had a fire.
Yeah, we were doing a little show we did called Red Dog, which was probably our biggest hit. That show ran for, combined, probably about a year at the Firehouse. 8 shows a week, 52 weeks out of it.
Was that an original show, or is that?
That was the world premiere, yeah.
That you wrote it, or?
I didn't write it. Leland Ball wrote it, and it was a big hit for us, yeah.
But anyway, so what year was the Firehouse Dinner Theater fire?
1975.
So that
we had a great year.
A couple of years after it opened.
Yeah, we were doing great. We were putting in stools every night and selling them for full price. And all of a sudden,
so it wasn't a friction fire then.
Somebody,
you know what a friction fire is, don't you?
Is that a successful fire?
Well, I don't know how you could define successful, but a friction fire, the joke is when the mortgage rubs up against the promissory note. So since you're doing so well, I don't think it was a friction fire.
Well, I'm sure the insurance company at first, I was the first one they looked at, but we were doing boffo business.
It slowed you down.
It really did. It shut us down for 3 months. We were the hottest ticket in town.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, yeah. And also that year, if you'll remember, we did 2 world premieres at once. Firehouse was doing Red Dog, and we had another show also written by Leland Ball, and we were going to do it at the Playhouse. It was called Battle Hymn. And if you remember, 1975 also was visited by a tornado. And the tornado, pardon?
We were 6 years old, but yeah.
Well, I guess you don't remember.
Tornado and a blizzard.
Yes, it was quite a year. Yeah.
Okay, so you were
so somebody set the Red Dog on fire.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
literally?
somebody sneaked into the building during the middle of the night, and we torched the place, and we were closed for probably over 3 months, putting it back together.
So it was an arson situation?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you go to the people you didn't cast?
I have no idea, really. I got my suspicions, but I really don't know.
We didn't have video back then as much as we do now.
No.
So we're talking with Dick Mueller, the founder of the Firehouse Dinner Theater, which ran from 1973 to the early 1990s. And, you know, Dick, we talk about how popular it was. And like I say, I remember going to probably 6 or 7 shows at the Firehouse over the years, and they were always full. But you don't see dinner theaters anymore. They were so fun, but you don't see a lot of dinner theaters anymore. What changed?
The world has changed. How many people do you know today who, couples, let's say, because our basic business was couples. How many couples do you know who could even conceive of the notion of showing up in downtown Omaha, walking across the cobblestones in their high heels and their business suits, and spending 4 hours on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, 8 times a week we did it. So the world has really changed. I don't know how many people could do that
I
today.
get what you're saying, but at the same time, Omaha is a pretty affluent place. And
Yes, it is.
And compared to 20 years ago when we started the show, 21 years ago, it's unbelievable the number of offerings. We have Steelhouse Omaha. I love to go to the Funny Bone, and they just got a new location. So I think people, and then we also have, when you started that, and obviously price is a lot different, but 25-year-olds at Omaha, they may never have a house, but they spend $15 to $20 on one cocktail. So they seem to spend money. Now, I don't know if they're their target market, but I wouldn't be surprised for a for-profit theater if people wouldn't show up.
Well, we don't have enough time
I know.
to talk about all my theories of the problems that exist out there for theater. I mean, theater's always had its problems. But I think today if I had to pin it on one thing, I think ticket prices have gotten too expensive. Mm-hmm. It's just become an investment. I mean, yes, kids will spend $15. They seem to have no concept of the value of $1. But middle-aged people who are the kind of people that we, and older, that was our audience basically, going to the theater today, I mean, you can spend, it's an investment. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, too often, it doesn't pay off. You were going to say.
Would you like to pay credit card, or would you like to finance your tickets tonight, sir? It gets expensive. I do want to bring up and a shout out, because the Denenberg family was very into the theater, and Uni Denenberg.
Was that your aunt?
No, my sister, Tiffany Magid Denenberg, Tippy Magid Denenberg, is married to Steve Denenberg, and then his sister was very involved. Debbie was involved in that, but Eunice and you and Ozzie Nog, who's still going strong, and one other person were in a
Louise Filbert.
What do you call that? A quartet, or what do you call that?
It was, yeah, three gals and myself.
And what was it called?
The Foregone Conclusions.
Good name.
How long did that?
I think Uni and Ozzie came up. They were very clever people, and I think they were responsible for the name.
That's awesome. Now, my mom, Carolyn Schimmelmag, part of the hotel family with the Blackstone, she actually worked at Gemini for a little while and did graphic design with them. And so it's neat that we need creative people at Omaha, and we have plenty of creative people. Do you see live theater still?
Well, I don't. Pat and I, my wife, we don't go as often as we probably should. But you know what? The last time I was at the Playhouse about a month or so ago, I was shocked. I started at the Playhouse. It's a beautiful theater. It's storied in Omaha. It owns the theater scene. And I had never been in that theater with so few people. I was
sad.
Friday night, the second Friday night of their run of a big main stage show. But we went to see Emmanuel Axe with the symphony a while back, empty seats. We saw Wynton Marsalis with the Lincoln Center Jazz Band at the Holland empty seats. It's just crazy. Those are world-class productions, and in a city the size of Omaha, they should be packed. But I just think the ticket prices have become too much of a consideration for too many people.
Yet we saw Hadestown, the Broadway touring production at the Orpheum, my family and I, a couple months ago, and it was packed to the gills. And those tickets are pricey. So it's almost as if it's a big Broadway show, people say we must go.
But that's what it has to be.
If it's a high quality local,
hit,
they don't.
I think people go when it's kind of a status thing. They've got to see this show.
I would love to see, and hopefully things will cycle in one way or another, but I would love to see something like the Firehouse come back. Whether or not it has a dinner component or not remains to be seen. But just bringing, you ran a lot of mainstream shows that were very accessible local. You would have long runs. A lot of your runs were, 6 weeks or something like that?
We opened another world premiere called Shakespeare and the Indians. Now, there's a title that's going to really bring them in, right? And it ran for 16 weeks.
Wow. That's a long time.
Awful business. It was fantastic, yeah.
Well,
8 shows a week.
8 shows a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can do it and all that. But there's one thing I do want to throw out there. Trenton made a personal note with you there with some of his family members or extended family members. I just want to bring up one thing, Dick, while I've got you on the radio. In 1986, I auditioned for Brighton Beach Memoirs. And to be Eugene, and
we couldn't afford you.
And you were the guy. You were the director, if I remember correctly, weren't you?
Yeah. What a great trio of shows.
If you had to do it all over again, would you cast me today?
I would today. Yes,
okay,
definitely.
Good. Thank you.
Now, geriatric years.
Actually, that's pretty good. Actually, I went and actually saw that show, and the guy you did cast did a lot better job than I would have.
He was a professional.
He was sort of a ringer.
He was good.
He was touted to me by a dear friend who worked at the theater a lot, and he had done the show in Florida, and he was terrific. And he came up here, and that kid, Ricky Siegel's his name. He's still in California and still acting, but he did all 3 for us. We did all the trilogy: Brighton Beach, Biloxi Blues, and Broadway Bound.
Yep.
And we may have been the only theater that used the same actor in those shows, and he progressed in age perfectly for when we did them. So, I'm sorry that you couldn't have been part of that.
But he did do a great job. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want a very good read, especially if you ever went to a show at the Firehouse in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you want to pick this up. It's called The Firehouse Memoir by Dick Mueller. Where can people find this book?
Well, it's on Amazon, yeah.
So Amazon's the place.
Yeah.
Just Google The Firehouse Memoir. There's a picture of a young Dick Mueller on the cover from a few years ago. On the front.
A more recent one on the back.
And a more senior Dick Mueller on the back.
That's called Before and After Career in the Theater.
And a lot of pictures within it.
It is a fantastic read for Omaha people who love Omaha history and love the arts. And Dick, we appreciate you writing it. We appreciate you coming on the show. And more importantly, thank you for everything you've done for our city for so long. Arts-wise and every otherwise, you're a great Omahan.
You're very kind. Thank you.
That's Dick Mueller, founder of the Firehouse Dinner Theater and author of the Firehouse Memoir. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.